Good, what's good, what's good? We've had a lot going on today. In case you hadn't noticed, just wondering, because if you were practicing the GMB3, do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. Yeah, we had a lot going on. I want to talk about something that's not necessarily related to crypto directly. It's indirect. Oracle took a beating today. Oracle took a beating. A beating. But before we get to that, tonight's question: which L1 had a major outage today? We're talking hours. Solana, Cardano, Stellar, or other. If it's other, put it in the comments. You know what's up. But Oracle got shelled for about 5% today. Why is that? It's not directly related to AI, to crypto, but it has everything to do with AI and the build out of data centers and kind of ripples across to entertainment, right? So if you're investing in stocks and entertainment is your space or AI is your space, you should be up on this. So Oracle got hammered because bondholders sued over alleged misleading disclosures about AI related borrowing. Just a small problem. Just a small problem. Just, right? Because apparently those bondholders, you know what bonds are, right? Debt. So apparently those bondholders are like, whoa, wait a minute. That doesn't sound like what we signed up for. Ooh. And it all goes back to OpenAI, right? Because OpenAI went out there and was like, oh yeah, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you this. So everybody starts gathering their monies, right? As my son likes to say, or used to like to say when he was a little guy. And they want to build out data centers. They've got to think about energy and power and all these different things. So Oracle got slammed. Oracle got slammed. Body slammed. If you think about 5% for a stock. For a stock. We're not talking crypto here where things go like this, like crazy. Where we actually have a 5% rule? No. These are stocks. The stock gets hit by, half that, and people are talking about it. They got hammered for 5%. Now, if you look at this, it's Oracle, OpenAI, involved in the Warner Brothers bid, against Netflix, who's probably going to come back with an all-cash offer. And you're not just talking about the movies and TV shows and, all the creatives and all that good stuff. You're also talking about massive real estate. This buy is a mega buy. But I wanted to key in on Oracle because Oracle wants to build out infrastructure for AI. So wouldn't that be the second company? Hey, Hutanik, thanks for letting us know you have absolutely invested in yourself today. So I'm just wondering how that happened. Like, what's the dealio? Right? Everybody is so gung-ho on AI because they all drank the Kool-Aid. Oh, AI can do, oh my gosh, AI can just, it's like that. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's not. It's not. I keep telling people like all the time, when it's right, when it's wrong, same algorithm. What are you doing? And the massive amount of infrastructure? If AI is done correctly, you wouldn't be using any of those online services. Like, no. Especially if you're a major institution. No, that is not the way to go. Because there's a massive security problem. Massive. And that security problem is And that we've seen this come to bite people in the butt like many a time. Oh, we're not going to use your data. Oh, we're going to keep your data safe. Oh, we're not going to do anything like that. Oh, well, we had a little bump in the road and something happened and we can't undo it. Say what now? Huh? Because you're building out all these massive data centers. For what reason? I do not like if I was a CEO of a large corporation, I would not want to deal with OpenAI. I might want to deal with another data center, or if I've got leased space, I might change a couple of floors to be data centers or something. But I don't want to deal with one of these companies. I want deals with a data center provider because I want to host my own stuff. Because that's the only way that you're going to be secure. The only way. The only way. Just saying. So I'm just looking at it all and I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. So that to me was a very big deal. Then, of course, you had the banks come along with a whole bunch of stuff. Right? One of my guys is still working. And the banks came along and, Brian Moynihan, he's the CEO of Bank of America, comes along. He says, listen, I still have a positive outlook for 2026. And I'm like, that's cute. That's adorable. That's adorable. Right? What makes you think that there's going to be a positive outlook? Or are you just paying lip service because nobody knows the complete picture of the information that you have in your head or that you have access to? That's why I'll only listen to CEOs when they speak about their companies. I don't give a rat's behind about what your outlook is across everything. Because time and time again, oh no, we're doing well. Well, let me rephrase that. Some CEOs, I'll pay attention to their outlook. I think it's mostly CEOs in the financial industry that I'm not paying any mind to. Every time something's gone wrong, they go, why have we gone wrong? Yeah. It's been because of that. It's been because of financial institutions. So you start to realize, wow, yeah, we have to kind of take what they say with a grain of salt. And then we have to, in this current climate, we have to pay attention to a current regime that wants the Fed to do the exact opposite of what it should be doing. Right? Well, you want to bring down the rates because it's a hot economy. No, that's not what you do when you have a hot economy. And I'm going to tell you now, I don't know that we have a hot economy. Because all the numbers, nobody's paying attention to who is actually spending. Who's actually spending? They keep saying, oh, people are spending and blah, blah, blah. The economy is really good. And I'm just like, who is spending? Who is spending? Because I don't know how you can be so positive that everybody's spending. Right? But then when you look at credit card payments, we have a lot of people that are late. Auto loans, a lot of people that are late, defaulted. What's next? Mortgages. And then Moynihan got out there and he said, well, because he was talking about what the new regime said about, a 10% cap. And he says, well, we'd have to pull back some credit. I want you to stop and think about that. Because you're only going to charge a maximum, or you were told you could only charge a maximum of 10% for 1 year. That's what he wants to happen. That's what the new regime wants to happen. Got to stop calling them a new regime. They're not new anymore. So when you think about that, it's kind of like, so let me understand this. You still make money. You still make 10% is you still making money. Yeah, let that wash over you for a minute. 10% is still you making money. Just not as much money. Which brings us back to what we're always saying all the time, right? What is the definition of enough? What is the definition of enough? I think that, as shareholders, we need to start holding feet to flame. There are a couple of ways that I think we should hold feet to flame. Just over how businesses are run. Aside from you're still making money, let's just put a pin in that. That's fine. Want to cry about it? That's fine. I'm not making as much money as I used to. Whatever, man. I don't agree with that. Then I would like to hold feet to flame over what's your percentage of offshore resources, and what percentage of those jobs should be here in the United States. Hear me out. It's deeper than you think. The reason why I say that is because, wow, pronunciation is everything. Sorry about that, Mom. So if you really stop and you think about this, you should be saying to yourself, well, wait a minute. If we bring back manufacturing into the United States, manufacturing is not going to look like the way it used to look. There have been huge inroads, right? Huge advancements in how factories work, how even warehouses work, right? Those kinds of facilities, you're going to have a lot of robotics in there, just a lot of, technology in there, and you're going to have far less people. So think about those kinds of jobs. And now you're outsourcing these kinds of jobs. We can't afford to keep taking it on the chin when it comes to jobs. I mean, what's the percentage of jobs that you currently have overseas that can actually be done in the United States? And I'm not talking about, it'd be way more expensive. I'm talking about the jobs that you laid people off that were doing the job and you handed them off to overseas. Think technology jobs, right? Think customer service jobs. There are a lot of jobs that you could think about, right? But those are jobs that you could be doing here. Eli, thank you for letting us know that you invested in yourself. So I'm just wondering how that works in your head, that you've got all those jobs overseas, but you're not really thinking about bringing them here. We can't bring back jobs unless we give up being a reserve country, a reserve currency. I don't know why you're conflating the two topics. I don't. Two separate things in my eyes. Can't be a reserve unless manufacturing is abroad. Yeah, I don't buy into that at all. I understand what you're saying, but I think you're conflating two different things. I do not get it. Yeah, I wish I was a financial guru, by the way. Right? No, I hear you, Hutanik. I hear you. You can be a reserve currency. My argument is you can be both. Hello, 8 Paws. You can be both. Would it be difficult to be both? Maybe. But not really. I want you to think about some of these companies. Some of these companies are literally just ditching 6-figure jobs and sending them overseas. Oh, because we can spend so much less money. For a person in Georgia, I can get 3 people in India. That's what they're thinking. And then I sit back and I go, well, then are you an American company? With the number of jobs that are being offshored, I ask the question, are you really an American company? And if you're treating your technology as a separate entity, maybe not a legal entity, but as a separate entity, like a separate whole, separate division, if you will, and 70% of that division is overseas, that's not a good look. Now, if you are a financial institution, you're directly tied to the stock market, your technology resources, the bulk of your technology resources, the ones that actually get the jobs done, are going to be overseas. Do they work in New York hours or Chicago hours? What's the turnaround time on things? See, I know this because I've been there. So I'm just wondering, how does that work in your head? And with the number of jobs that you have overseas, should we be charging you a tax? Like, number one thing that if the country wants to make back some money, in my humble opinion, I think that the one thing that we could do is just say, you know what? Forget about all the tax breaks. Everybody's done with the tax breaks. Oh, hold it. You are full of good news. So, and my guys, they have no idea what time it is. They don't. I literally have to tell them that I'm live because they don't think about time. These are people that will get up in the middle of the night, can't sleep, so they'll turn on their computer and work. For real, for real. I don't bother them about what time it is. Well, unless I just want to talk to somebody, but I don't bother them about when they work and stuff like that. That's like dumb. Like dumb. Push. Hold it. Sorry about this, folks, but this is about the platform, so it's really important. You can be both. You can be both unless you have the world's largest military. Now you're just being dumb. And Eli, we're going to forget that you even said that. So the idea is that I think that there are rules that we can put in place that if you're going to have a large percentage of your people, whether it be throughout the company or especially if it's concentrated in a specific division of your company, let's say the technology team, you should forfeit your tax write-offs, those tax benefits that you're getting. Like, that shouldn't happen because the whole point is for you to have jobs here. I'm just saying. Because we're spending a lot of time educating other people that are not here. So these people here aren't learning. I was speaking to a couple of developer friends of mine today, and they were like, yeah, AI is not making my life easier because here's what happens. These young kids get out of school, they're hot on AI, they're leveraging AI, and they're vibe coding and not paying attention and not learning from us because we're too busy fixing your vibe code. So they're just like me, just like my team. So you're creating this gap, this knowledge gap. And I want you to understand why I'm so adamant about this. It's because that gap represents a problem that's going to show itself even more. It's going to become even more prevalent because they'll be like, well, there's definitely nobody here that can do the job. So we've got to ship them out. What? So you've created the perpetuating situation. Because that's what's going on. That's a no bueno. Hey, Paula, thanks for letting us know that you invest in yourself. I have no idea what that is. I can't pay attention to that, Eli. I have no idea what that is. You have to tell us what it is and all that good stuff. Wish that. Hutanik, I'm trying to look at your statement. And as much as I would like to agree with you on that last point, I would say that this problem was born in 1971. Who here can tell me what happened in 1971? That's when this problem was born. So it's more prevalent now because the deficit is so high, but we've been growing that deficit since we cut the first check after 1971. Eli, go stand in the corner, man. You got me jumping and trying to guess what the heck that was, and literally you're going to tell me it's McDonald's Venezuela. Dude, I'm so mad at you right now. But I want you to stop and think about that. Now you know why I'm just saying that a lot of these companies that are offshoring jobs, they're creating a problem that we're going to be faced with in another couple of years. We're starting to feel it now. Kids graduating from college, really smart kids, can't get a job because other people still have those jobs. And if they get the job, those people, what's going on with them? Oh, they're being laid off because they're too expensive. And we can get these young kids who know how to use AI. Just sounds like this company that laid off a whole bunch of smart people last year and started crying that they shouldn't have laid off those people. I hope you have to pay out of the hole that you sit on. I'm just saying, there comes a point where we need to stop looking at right here and look up a little bit and see what some of these decisions will cause down the road. We might want to look at a map to see if we're even on the right road, is what I'm saying. Just saying. Just saying. Dean Mack into his house. Thank you for letting us know you invest in yourself. Now, more news. Trip.com, Chinese-based company, IPO'd, I think, in the UK, either here in the UK. Stock fell 17% after Chinese regulators investigated potential monopolistic practices, raising concerns about market stability and risks for tech investors. Every time you turn around, there's a tech problem. Adobe's taking you on the chin twice. Because Apple said, we're going to do some stuff with our software. That was one. And then just nobody's really paying that kind of money for Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator and Adobe Premiere. Nobody's paying that kind of money anymore. Technology gets cheaper, not more expensive, and not squeezing blood from a stone. You want to know who else is trying to squeeze blood from a stone? Tesla is moving to a subscription model for their fully self-driving software. Right after NVIDIA said, here's our self-driving software and it's all free. And if you've got one of our cards in your car, you'll be able to run it. It's all open source. Have at it. And you want to move to a subscription model. BMW tried it. Yeah. What'd they do? Oh, if you want your heated seats, I think it was like $18 a month. If you wanted your heated seats, everything's there. You already bought the car. It's my car, but it's not my car. I don't actually own everything that's in here. Huh, that's interesting. And here's a problem with that whole model. The fact that I can reach out to your car and turn it off. The fact that I can reach out to your car and have it drive itself back to my dealership or my factory or wherever. The fact that I can reach into your car and pull any kind of data out of your car. That's a problem. That's a massive problem. It's already been proven that certain cars have been hacked. No fixes for it. They could just hack in, do whatever they want. If I have the vehicle in my possession and I'm paying you money, what am I paying for? If it's in my possession, it's mine. It's not yours. I'm not co-owning the car. But fully self-driving, I can understand if you're FSD, if you're looking at it in terms of, well, you're paying for our maps. You're paying for our network. Not paying for your network. Everything's in the car. If anything, you need data from the car to keep your network up to date. So shouldn't you be paying me that monthly fee? Because you're not going to know immediately that there's construction on that street. I'm going to know because I drive that street every day. I'm pinpointing different places where businesses are kind of hosing us. I asked a bunch of friends, I posted something and I asked a bunch of friends, I said, are you still paying for luxury? Can anybody define it for me? Because didn't China just blow up everything about luxury? That $3,000 bag only cost $57 for us to make it because we make it. What I'm trying to point out is the idea that we need to stop thinking in old, false ways, right? We cannot keep saying that the products out of this country suck and they're copying us when they've come up with the idea themselves and we're not even coming close to what they're selling. You want to hear something really crazy? Every place else in the world is going to have Chinese cars. You don't even have to go that far. You can go to Mexico right now and see BYD cars right there. Yes, you can. Technology is insane, right? You don't have to worry about that. You can go there and see those cars right now. Don't, because you will be highly disappointed. Because how many of you have gone out just to look at new cars? Maybe you bought a new car and you're like, man, how come? Why is everything so good? But these two things that really annoy me, how come they did that? Because they did it on purpose. They did it on purpose. I mean, the insanity that we're paying for right now is crazy. And it bothers me, not because some other country, I'm not saying they have better technology. Well, they do have better technology than we do right now. But what annoys me is that used to be us. That used to be us. We were the ones coming up with all that technology. We can't even talk about how we're so good at AI. Because China and other countries are coming out with AI models, LLMs, and other models that are just blowing us out the water. Blowing us out the water. And then we want to apply that to things like X402, which Solana has more development for X402 than on base. They just took that #1 spot, which I find to be kind of funny because agentic development is let's just say it's not there yet. It's not there yet. And it kind of makes sense because to me, in my eyes, Solana is not there yet. Could it be? Maybe. But every time I look at Cardano, I'm like I can't really compare the two because I think Cardano is just that much better. Just saying. Don't forget tonight's question. Tonight's question is, what L1, I can't believe we only have 3 votes. What L1 had a major outage today? Solana, Cardano, Stellar, or other? If it's other, drop it in the comments. I'm amazed that there are only 3 votes. Absolutely amazed. Rick Ritchie in his house. Thank you for letting us know you invested in yourself. Paying cash is a luxury. I don't know about that. I don't know that I want to pay in cash. Having the cash is a luxury. Paying the cash might not be so smart. Understand what I'm saying? Having cash is a luxury. Paying in cash might not be so smart. Just saying. Let's get back to more news. They're like 32 points. We're not going to get to all the news. There are 32 points. The articles, 31, 32. They're all up on the site. You can go see all the news there. Minneapolis Fed president. This one did not blow my mind, but I'm going to use it as an example. Minneapolis Fed President Neil Kashkari criticized crypto as a farce and a garbage dumpster since 2018, emphasizing skepticism over its utility and prevalence of illicit activities. He is a really smart guy. Respect him for that, right? I respect him for that. He's a really smart guy. But every time I hear that argument about illicit activities, I scratch my head and I just say to myself, what is on your mind? Anything of value can be used for illicit activities. What are you missing? What are you missing? I gave you an example of how there's a affluent Chinese to nefarious character connection indirectly. I told you about that. Affluent Chinese person has somebody that they want to buy. They want to buy an apartment for them. Maybe they have a kid going to school here and they want to buy an apartment in Manhattan. Great, it's $1 million. They contact this underground broker who's involved with the underground financial system, who says, how much money do you need? How much of that do you need? Okay, cool. You're going to transfer that equivalent of yuan to me, and I'll hold it until everything's done. Then they reach out to their network, and some nefarious character says, oh, I could deal with laundering $1 million. You just need $1 million? Yes. Short. It's going to be $1 million plus whatever for brokerage fee, whatever, so that now they can go buy this apartment. How does that nefarious character get their money back? Almost however they want it. Yuan never leaves. They take the yuan that they got, they buy a whole bunch of stuff, and they ship it to wherever it needs to go. That could be precursors for fentanyl. That could be real goods, like real products, and they ship it on out. Nothing illegal about it. This person got their apartment. They got their equivalent to clean money. So when I hear something like this, that had nothing to do with crypto. Deals like that have been going on since, I don't know, the mafia and the Vatican. Yeah, you can go do your research on that. That's like a known thing. So I'm just sitting back and I'm just wondering, why are you blaming crypto for that? The percentage of nefarious things that happen on crypto is actually low. The percentage of things that happen on crypto versus fiat is low. But here's Neil Kashkari. And I'm like, all right, dude. Okay, that's fine. But it has no utility? Has no utility, but you have all of these financial institutions jumping on the bandwagon, not just from an investor perspective, from an implementation perspective, but has no utility. Huh. That's very interesting. Like I said, I respect him. He's a really smart guy. On that point, I think he's wrong. Right? I think he's so hell-bent on keeping with the traditional financial ways that he's just still trying to write this off. And it's like, buddy, everything's moving to bits and bytes, ones and zeros, zeros and ones. And these things are more secure, faster, and you can do more with them in an automated fashion. They're called smart contracts. Just saying. But you find no utility? You're absolutely joking with that, right? So you know how I keep telling you guys, whenever you hear that a Fed is going to speak, you must listen. Listen to Fed speak. I say it all the time. Listen to Fed speak. Agree, disagree, listen to Fed speak. Why? Because it's going to tell you where their heads are at, what they're thinking, what they're leaning toward. That's why I say, pay attention. Pay attention. You want to know who I haven't heard from in a long time? Hester Pierce. Peculiar, no? To me it is. So we haven't heard from her. So what else is there? The SEC concluded its Zcash investigation without any enforcement action. Now, we knew it was coming, and now it's official. We need a peer-reviewed, decentralized, secure, and fair blockchain. I'm going to pretend you didn't say that because there are a lot of them out there. I think that's funny. Just saying. I think the idea of forcing stablecoins to act like CBDCs is a bad idea. The Clarity Act has lost a major backer in Coinbase. So when I first reported it was, Brian Armstrong wasn't happy with it, and now it's official. Coinbase is now not backing the Clarity Act. Now, what does that mean, though? To me, it means that whoever brought it forward, whoever made those changes, they're not going to be getting any more money. Go fix yourself and maybe we'll give you more money. But right now, nope. That's what I'm thinking that means. And it's got to have a bunch of people scratching their head. What do we do? Boo-hoo-hoo, what do we do? And Hutanic, they don't want us to see their debt. I'm using the word debt. I know what you wrote. I'm using the word debt. You're correct. You are correct. Courtney, do I know you? Like are you from Jersey? Because I knew a Courtney Johnson. She used to like to race cars. The Fed was created by the government. No. And that's why the president gets to pick. No. I think you need to go do more research. Go do more research on that. Those are big no's. Those are big no's. Government doesn't even monetarily support the Fed. Yep. So yeah, no, it wasn't started by the Fed. And besides that, I would sit down with you and we would sit down and we would have a bunch of beers, a lot of wine, and we would discuss why would I want somebody that doesn't actually understand how the economy works, who's bankrupted 6 different companies, managing the economy that has global reach. There's no way in the freaking world. Nope. I want the Fed to be independent. And we can agree to disagree. We can agree to disagree. The government was involved, but they didn't create it. Just saying. Just saying. You're from Detroit. Okay, cool. I can deal with that. It's just funny. It's just funny. And she was like a little firecracker. Loved racing cars. Like went racing every weekend. Like, and I don't mean like little putt cars. I mean race cars. The president. No, we're not going to talk about that. That's all political. That's all political. My issue is that I want people managing the Fed from an independent perspective that actually understands how the U.S. economy works and how the global economy works. I do not need somebody that has gone through that number of bankruptcies, that number of failed businesses to actually run the economy. That's insanity. Sorry. Nope. Not going to budge on that one. Not going to budge on that one. It's like I wouldn't have wanted, some guy who used to teach positively about Bitcoin who would do a 180 about it when he got a certain job because he was turned down by other jobs. Yikes. I don't want that guy either. I do not want that guy. I do not want anybody that's going to fold under pressure. The job itself has 2 pieces to it. in the United States has two pieces to it that oppose each other. The job's already hard. I don't need that person having outside, boots on their necks. Nope, not at all. I'm glad you learned something about the Fed today. Like I said, we can agree to disagree. We can absolutely agree to disagree. You know what? I'm bold enough to even say, let's run with you are correct. Let's run with that. You are absolutely right. I still don't want somebody like that having control over the Fed. The Fed has been independent and it should remain independent. The Fed has always been the bane of the existence of every single president since it started. I don't mind that. But it should be independent. It should not be politicized at all. No, you're making assumptions that I didn't finish reading something. You keep using the term it. As far as I'm concerned, conversation's over. You read something new. I'm happy for you. You learned something. That's great. But at the end of the day, I literally just said, let's run with the idea that you're correct. I still don't want somebody like that having influence over the Fed. Period. Full stop. So take the win and now deal with that. Right? That's me conceding and saying, you're absolutely right. Do you still want that guy in charge of the Fed? What's the point of having a Fed president then? Right? What's the point of having the Fed at all, if that's the case? Right? Okay. That's my point. MicroStrategy CEO Michael Saylor defended corporate Bitcoin adoption, citing a 2025 example where a $100 million worth of Bitcoin stake offset $10 million in losses. That doesn't prove Neil Kashkari wrong, though. You have to recognize the other side could be right. That's why sometimes in an argument, I'll be like, okay, so let's run with the idea that you're correct and I'm absolutely wrong. Do you still want that situation? That's why I do that. Because here's something where Michael Saylor saying, well, they were holding $100 million in Bitcoin. And aside from that, the company took a $10 million loss. Net, $90 million. It still doesn't prove that there's a use case. It says that people appreciate the value and recognize the monetary value of Bitcoin and what they're holding. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there's actually a use, unless you say the use was storing value. Unless that's what you say. That's what you mean. And for those people that would say, no, Hutanic, I'll read that in a minute. No, I sit there and I say to myself, well, the US dollar decoupled from gold. What does that mean? That means it's not backed up by anything other than a promise. Yeah. Let that one rush over you for a minute, right? That's what that means. That's all that means. It's a promise. So what's the difference between Bitcoin and the US dollar? We need a constitutional convention. We don't know. That's not going to read the second one, but the first one, yeah. I think that we still have people that are really, really smart that just want to hold on to the old ways of doing things. Like, to me, that's represented by Neil Kashkari. Respect the man a hell of a lot. He's really smart, really knows his stuff on this one point. But I don't agree with him. But when I look at that, I sit here and I kind of say, wow, I don't understand how that works. Like in his head, I would like to sit down and have a conversation with him and just have an understanding about, so where are you coming from with that thought, given the implementation of blockchain technologies? Well, you don't have to have crypto to have blockchain. Kind of, sort of, because that's the thing that moves it across, though. That's what you're moving. That's the value that you're moving. So, I don't know. So XRPL without XRP, I guess, is what you're thinking? Like I would like to have him sit down with me and have me understand it. I can admit when I can be wrong. Federal Reserve is what keeps your buying power down by QE. Some might feel that way. Just saying. A couple other things. So Russia proposed exempting digital currency from special regulations because they want to open it up to retail investors, retail users. Now, what I'm wondering is the ruble doing so poorly that they're thinking far down the road and they're saying, well, we can move everybody over to digital assets, and as a country, we're also leveraging yuan because we're doing business with our big brother, China. Remember when Russia was the big brother? Anyway, so there could be that. Is it realistic to think that countries around the world are beginning to open up their eyes ever so slowly? You know, with the crusties, you got to go like that to open up your eye and everything. And starting to realize that maybe we need to rethink things when it comes to our fiat. And I'm thinking that there are a lot of countries that are starting to think exactly like that. Exactly like that. It's kind of a big deal. DZ Bank secured a MiCA license for crypto services, launching Mine Crypto. Yeah, I said it. Launching Mine Crypto to support Bitcoin, Ether, and others via a VR banking app. So, yeah, Hutanic, that has nothing to do with this. That's a history lesson for a different group. I understand what you're saying, but it's too heady and that's different conversation for a different group, I think. Too overly political. What else was there? Bloomberg analyst Eric Balkunas, contact of mine, urged holding Bitcoin for 4 years. Can somebody do the math? What's 26 plus 4? Yes, I'm being a smart ass. As 99% of advisors plan to maintain crypto positions in 2026 with institutional adoption surging. So advisors on the retail side are going to be, at the very least holding. I had mentioned this either yesterday or the day before, that they're at the very least going to be holding where they are, and then maybe even buying. But what that also said to me was, this report and the other report, what it says to me is accumulate, hold 4 years. What has Hutanic been saying for like years? He's not doing anything until 2030. Now, he and I have debates all the time about, do you just hold it straight through, or do you take advantage of, you buy here, it went up, you get out, it drops, like we just went through, right? About 30 grand. It drops, you buy more here, you buy back in here. You've now increased your value so that when it goes up again, you've increased your value. We have conversations about that a lot. That's the open debate that we have. Either way, 2030 seems to be the year. And let me tell you something about Eric Balchunas. He is an ETF analyst. He's a financial analyst. And I don't mean somebody who cracks open Excel and is an Excel monkey. I mean, no, this guy knows his stuff. He's a financial analyst at Bloomberg Intelligence. I just happen to be connected to him. He's a really smart guy. Funny as heck, too. You should see some of his posts. It's just funny. So I look at that and I'm just like, 2030, huh? Go out there and look at all the predictions that are around from well-known people that talk about 2030 and what they think Bitcoin is going to be at 2030. I'm going to be bold. I'll say it like this. Let's pretend that Bitcoin only makes it to $250,000. I'll be nice because I think it's going to hit $250,000 before then. Let's say $300,000. Okay, make it easy math. The price where we are now, 300 grand. That's a plus 2x, isn't it? Wow. That's a plus 2x. Mind you, if Bitcoin is doing a plus 2x, you can do the math to see how, as long as they're, you know, on the up and up, how other coins would gain even more. Just saying. No, it was not. Courtney, it was not launched for that. It was not launched for that reason. Again, I go back to 1971. Go back to 1971 and start walking forward. The do was... It's because I can't see your face. I bet you we would have got there real fast on a video conference call. I'm just saying, I bet you we would have gotten there real fast if it was a video conference call. But like, oh, that's what you mean. Oh, okay, gotcha. I guarantee it. I guarantee it, man. Dead serious. That's why I don't mind getting into it with, you know, with my friends, right? Because it makes me stop and say, oh, hey, I don't know everything. I don't know everything. I'm not even trying to pretend like I know everything. Trust me, my kids let me know all the damn time. Daddy don't know shiznit until daddy knows shiznit. But I don't know everything. Which is why I said, let me concede that you're correct. That's still not a situation I want to be in. But I'll do that across almost anything. I'll be like, well, you know, what if I'm wrong? Like, I play that off in my head. The high school that I went to, debate was a big thing. We would debate anything. We would debate, literally, we would debate the color of the sky. I kid you not. The school that I went to, we would debate the color of the sky. I went to a science school. So it was actually a really good conversation. Cadillac Tracks, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Have you invested in yourself today? That's going to be a big question. What else do we have? Algorand established its U.S. headquarters in Delaware, aligning with strategic expansion. Why are they back? Because they believe that they're in a favorable environment now. Rick Ritchie, thank you for that, man. I see you. I see you. So, just saying, Algorand's coming back because they think they're in a favorable environment. I keep telling people that the country's starting to lay down guardrails, but those guardrails might not be great, right? They're going to have to be adjusted. Not everybody's going to be happy. The other issue, I think that we have a lot of people that are far too extreme. Meaning we have people that will do things just because they think that it's going to make crypto do well. No matter what. They won't, they're over here. And then we have other people because they're over there that are just saying nope. And they're also not listening. I think that if we can get people together and we can actually have them listen and we can actually have them think about what are the ramifications if we do this? What are the ramifications if we don't do that? We're talking about a serious, serious issue here. I mean, I really want people to stop and think, maybe I shouldn't be buying anything for the next 4 years. I should go broke for the next 4 years. Whatever I have, keep it. That's it, right? And stick to my conviction. Put everything into investing. Wait 4 years. At the very least, I will have made more than inflation. At the very least. But what happens if everything that everybody's predicting will happen across the next 4 years happens? Oh, that's what I'm talking about. I need people to think like that. I'm not saying they need to do that, but I need people to think down the road. I need them to say, I'm standing here and I have X number of roads that I can take. Which one is the best one? Hopefully they have a friend, they have a drone, they can put it up and they can see which one is going to be the best one. But nobody can see the future, right? But which one is the best one long term? Make decisions based on that. That's kind of what I'm looking for. People that will stop and think in those kinds of ways and won't think that I have to be extreme because they're extreme. I'm extreme because I got paid to be extreme. You know they did. I need people that are going to actually stop and think about, well, if digital assets do so well, what does that do to the currency, to the actual currency? What does that do to local currencies around the world? Oh, well, everything will be denominated by what? The yuan, the dollar? My point is at what point does that not matter? I like that thought, Cadillac. Right? I'm just wondering, like, I want to hear politicians sit back and say, and economists sit back and say, if digital assets continue on this path, what's the impact to local currencies around the world? Because the only reason why you have a local currency or that you have something denominated will be that I know that this pen is worth $1. $1 equates to blah, 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 Cardano or Bitcoin or XRP or however else I'm going to pay for it. And I give you that. That's the denomination. It's how do I do the math? That's how people think of it. How do I do the math? And pretty soon you'll get used to, this is 0.059 Cardano, for instance, right? Or today, I guess it would be 2.5 Cardano. Great. So it's 2.5 Cardano. Do I have 2.5 Cardano? Yeah, I got 2.5 Cardano. Maybe I don't have Cardano. Maybe I have XRP. How does that translate? See what I mean? It's math. It's math. And at some point, people are going to stop talking about their local currencies and start talking about the digital asset, I think. That's how I look at it. Or at least that's the conversation I want to have. Rick Ritchie, I'm in love. Don't tell the missus. Don't. I'm not trying to. So I think that with all the news that's out there, what are the things we have to do? We have to keep our nose in the news. We have to pay attention to what's going on. And we have to invest in order to survive. Because we're already seeing that the raise that you're getting is not even meeting inflation level. Most companies are not giving out raises that bring you back to matching inflation. 1% raise, 2% raise. Inflation is 2.7%. Yeah. And for those people, the longer you have been working, the less money you've been making. If you look at what your dollar was able to buy you even 10 years ago, and you look at how much money you make now versus then, that dollar then mathed out properly, calculated properly, you should be making more money. Just based on, not even for a raise, but just to keep ahead of inflation. Ta-da! This is why I say we must invest in order to survive. And let me tell you something. A healthy debate with one of your friends keeps your mind going, keeps you open to different ideas, keeps you open to the idea that you could be wrong, you could be right, but the perspective and the knowledge that somebody else brings to the table might help you. Just saying. Anyway, everybody, there are 31 articles that were published today, or no, my bad, that were published this evening that cover a lot of topics. You can catch them all over on growmybag.tv. There's a lot. There's a lot that you can get out of that. I mean, Mantra restructured after its OM token fell, from $8.99 to 59 cents. Yeah, there's that. Privacy coins, excluding Zcash, surged 59% weekly, with Monero, Dash, and Beldex leading investors in that space. Wow. Now, mind you, the GMB X factor for Dash, yeah, I'm not touching that. I'm this guy. And tonight's question, the answer is Sui. The answer is Sui. Hold on a second. Let me tell you. Let me see if I have the note on my Control F. You can actually go read the article too. Stop being lazy, you bum. I don't have my notes in front of me. How do I not have that? That's insane. That doesn't happen a lot. That's crazy. Yeah, I don't have my notes in front of me right now. I read this today. It's not that people don't want to work. They don't want to work 40 hours a week and still can't survive. Bam. Yep, nail on the head. You know what's really funny is that you want me to do a job and it used to take 40 hours, but now I can do that job in 20 hours. Shouldn't you just pay me that money and I just work 20 hours? Sounds insane. But think about that. Work-life balance. And I want you to really think about something. That statement, running off of that statement. Imagine what people would do with all that extra time. The innovations that would happen, the friendships that would be made, the betterment of people's lives just because they had time to be with their families. And for those people that just wanted to work, you can go work another job. But you see what I mean? Most people are not actually lazy, but most people are tired of putting in extra and not getting anything from it. Big business and the wealthy need to figure out that definition of enough. And if they can't figure it out, which they've proven for decades that they can't, like I said, 1971, they've proven that they can't, then that means that it must be defined for them. We can't keep walking down the same road. Something's got to give. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on crypto for growmybag.tv. You want to catch the rest of the articles, get more information, go over to growmybag.tv and you will find all of that. If you can, become a member because there's a lot of stuff that you would be happy with if you became a member. If you're a big bagger, no, I am not responding to notes or anything left on YouTube. You want to drop notes? Don't text me. Don't drop notes on YouTube. You are big baggers. Go use the Big Bagger feed. Go use the Big Bagger feed. It's there. It's there for your use. Go check it out. Everybody else, become a member. There's more coming. There's much more coming. Everybody, thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And as always, thank you for your trust. I'm not right all the time. I know you're not right all the time, but hopefully we're all right some of the time and we can bring that knowledge together and we can all grow our bags. Have a great night, everyone. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. for the daily.